Yo, 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 what up, motherfuckers? It's your boy Necro here with another video. And I wasn't even going to really make a video because I know y'all were waiting for the Gore-Tex video where I was going to talk about him in a video. A lot of y'all been waiting for that one. But after the Lord Jamar FBA video, and kind of got turned off to making videos for a little bit, been working on music. But then I saw the third bass on Drink Champs, and I was like, yeah, I gotta make a video about this. So this will be a quick one. So basically, Search is a fucking scumbag. If you watch the video, the Drink Champs, he basically mentions nonfiction. They're talking about white rappers coming out after them and da-da-da. He brings up nonfiction and talks like Geffen just wanted to keep them underground and whatever, and they're the Ramones or whatever. But he fails to mention that he fucked them over and that they never dropped an album because he stole the money. He left that out conveniently. So I got to reiterate that if you watch that, you know, because somebody messaged me. They're like, oh, Search made it right. I'm like, no, he didn't. He didn't fucking make nothing right. Oh, for the record, if you notice, he keeps talking over Pete Nice. Like, you could see why them dudes broke up, because he's a fucking douchebag. But basically, he mentions nonfiction, but he doesn't mention that the reason that nonfiction didn't have a chance to blow up is because he fucked the deal up. And technically, Search would be what you would call a culture vulture. Anybody that robs young MCs, wow, not young MC the MC, but a bunch of MCs that are young, that's a culture vulture. So he actually is the ultimate culture vulture if you think about it. So he basically fucked that whole nonfiction shit up, doesn't mention it on Drink Champs, but yet mentions them. Why you been bringing them up if you're not going to tell the whole story? It's a fucking lie. You know what I mean? And then he kind of shits on me because he mentions that, oh, nobody wanted to blow up any white rappers after Eminem came out until Action Bronson. So once again, the fucking industry douchebags, old school douchebags, like Search, leave out the whole era of Fat Beats. Like we didn't exist. So he doesn't mention that I put out all of Nonfiction solo albums, and Nonfiction had to put out their solo album in 2002, 7 years after he fucked them up. Took them that long to get a deal with Matador, and that's how they end up releasing shit. And the reason that people only respect Eminem and shit on everybody until, according to him, Action Bronson era, is because of guys like Search, who are fucking scumbags, who you could see couldn't even keep his fucking group together. He admitted it, because he's an egotistical fuckface. So I thought that was a little insulting that he brings up nonfiction, but just makes it look like they're just some underground dudes and, you know, nobody wanted to blow him up. And, you know, he had nothing to do with the deal going down the tubes because he robbed everybody. So it's my duty to tell y'all motherfuckers because I'm documenting shit that they're not going to let you know. You understand what I'm saying? So, yeah. So he's a fuckface for that, for not keeping it real. And they mentioned Clark Kent a lot, DJ Clark Kent. I'm going to make a video about Clark Kent. I also have an experience personally with Clark Kent. And it's not the same praiseworthy as all these other old school dudes. Because basically these old school guys, like from that era, right? The era before the Fat Beats era or the underground era, they all act like we don't exist. They try to erase our fucking existence. Notice how Serge goes from his era, then mentions nonfiction, but doesn't tell what happened with them, how he fucked their deal up and ruined it. Because think about how hard it's going to be for nonfiction now when Serge gets them a Geffen deal, but then fucks it up and ruins it for them. It wasn't easy for them to try to get somebody. It took 7 years from that fumble. So, and then he acts like nobody was popping during that time. Like our whole era, which I call the Fat Beats era, like we weren't the shit in the underground. And then it took till he mentions Action Bronson. He's a fucking piece of shit for that because he's a fucking hater. Because if you notice, Serge has never dropped anything dope. From Here It Comes until nonfiction time, where it took him to get with some white dope Jewish kids from the PJs to reinvigorate himself. Then he fucks them up. Never dropped anything good since then. What is that, like 30 years of fucking doing nothing? So he's the definition of a fucking has-been. And he don't want to give props to people from everything nonfiction was involved in and everybody who dealt with them and all of us in the underground. He acts like we're not important. So it's only important the Def Jam era and then the Action Bronson era from 2010 and up. Another motherfucker you can see clearly not giving respect to the Fat Beats era. Pete Nice, I'm disappointed in him too. I never had any problems with him. But he also did some scumbag shit on the Drink Champs episode. He brings up Cage 2 times. You know, like, I'm the one that, brought Cage. So here's the reality with Pete Nice and Cage. Pete Nice never dropped the Cage album. Right? There's no Cage album that was released through Pete Nice. Pete Nice put Cage on one song. Then I'm the fucking motherfucker who reached out to Bobbito, got Cage, brought him to Brooklyn, produced Agent Orange Radiohead, his first 12-inch, which was a huge hit. Now, what annoys me is Pete Nice is supposed to be a historian. His whole thing is about the hip-hop museum. But notice, they don't want to give respect to the underground Fat Beats era. Because if you're going to bring up Cage, how you not going to mention that Necro is the motherfucker that actually got Cage popping? Cage got himself popping with underground freestyles, and I'm the one that was facilitated producing his 12-inch and putting it out and making him known and all that. But they leave my name conveniently out because they're fucking haters. If you're a hip-hop historian, why are you not mentioning everybody? You're quick to mention only the fucking people from the 80s and 89, but we all get left out. And that's all I want to say in this video. That's the main thing. These fucking dudes, you can watch the Drink Champs, but you should know that when they mention Cage and nonfiction, they're not really telling you what really happened. And they're conveniently leaving Necro out. So Necro's got to make a fucking video. I really didn't want to, you know what I'm saying? But, I really couldn't even get through the Drink Champs because I'm watching it and Serge keeps interrupting Pete Nice. And I just see how these dudes, yeah, you did your thing. You're from that time. But you're not the only ones in hip-hop. We're 40 years later now. You understand what I'm saying? There's different generations, eras of hip-hop. You had your era, okay? And then nonfiction Necro came in the underground with Bobbito and all that shit. Okay? But you're not telling the truth of what actually happened with Cage and nonfiction. And by leaving me out, well, fuck y'all for that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just, Serge probably saw the last video I made and he's fronting. So it's all good. Listen, Necro fans know I've been releasing shit for 20, 25, 30 years nonstop, constantly. All right? That dude dropped shit for 2 years, fell off the face of the earth. So fuck him, fuck Third Base, and now you know the truth. All right? And I'm going to make that video about Clark Kent, telling you the truth about Clark Kent. that you ain't gonna ever hear from anybody. Because that whole side of the industry, they're all about ass kissing and who they're down with and like politics and their little cliquey shit. But I dealt with Clark Kent in a different way than those guys did. You understand? So, you know, a lot of my experiences as Necro is not really the way that a lot of these guys, because I'm younger. I'm like 10 years younger. Search is like 65 now. You know what I mean? I'm like 13 years younger than him. I'm like 15 years younger than Search. You know what I mean? He's like 65 now. So, you know, I'm not from that era. So they're not going to want to get that. You know what I mean? They want to, you know, want everybody to be on their dick. But, you know, why mention? Why fucking mention Nonfiction and Cage then? For what? Just talk about your shit. All right, Necro fans, salute. I'm gonna get you those other videos. Working hard on Death Rap 2. Respect.